Greetings, I am No Talent Red Mage and I am playing Titus the Fox to Marek and back for Game Boy Color, or Game Boy. Actually both, since they're mostly the same game with the minor exception that if you played it on the Game Boy Color you get 2 extra stages, which makes no sense since the Game Boy had enough space on the cart for it anyways. Anyway, platform locked content aside, the game is just a terrible rushed mess. The game stars a fox, or more accurately, 3 foxes and a cat. The game box fox is different, also the in-game between stage fox is different, and the Titus logo fox is also different. And then you have the game sprite itself, which looks more like a cat than an actual fox. The goal of the game is to rescue your girlfriend Susie from some unexplained evil. The game makes no attempt to tell the story via gameplay, which I can live with since many older games just opted to do that via those mystical things called instruction booklets. You know, that magical thing that came with the game that you open briefly and skim through it to maybe learn the controls and look at the artwork? Yeah, those. The problem with the game is it's entirely generic and slow-paced. Seriously, I have seen waterfalls made of maple syrup that move faster than this title. You would think that it would be a simple left-to-right platformer for kids, and well, you'd be wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong. See, while the first stage of the game is a simple, if dull, left-to-right platformer, other stages have hidden exits that can all be activated by randomly walking over a spot to spawn a ladder or some other object. This seems simple in theory, but it's really dumb how it's implemented. There's really no clues in the stage or the ground as to where these hidden objects might be, which makes it far more of a chore than entertaining. Maybe if there's some kind of puzzle element or even a hot-cold system in game to find them, it wouldn't be so much of a hassle. What you get is essentially Milon's Secret Castle with shittier sprites. And yes, I did say shittier. Which brings me to the said sprites. While the sprites are detailed, they all look as if they have this funky outline that makes them all look like paper cutouts, which I guess was an attempt to make the characters pop out, but instead of it just highlights how little work was put into arguably one of the most important parts of the game, enemies and animation. While I can agree the enemies are detailed to an extent, what I don't get is why they all look like they're just skating around, like there's some abomination breeding cross between Popeye and Disney's On Ice series. The hitboxes are not much better. Sometimes I'd have an enemy fly right through the ears of my sprite, while other times register a hit just for so much as the ear touching the edge of a projectile. Same can be said while collecting triangle things from the air. The platforming and enemies are also unfulfilling. You can't jump on them to kill them, like in 99% of other platformers. Your only mode of attack being finding a box and tossing it at them. Your cat sprite also jumps like he's partially filled with hydrogen gas, which would be amazing if he exploded to a fiery death ball when he died like the Hindenburg, which sadly he does not because Thor forbids something in this train wreck be redeemable. Even the enemies refuse to be entertaining, and the few that might have had interesting mechanics kind of just sit there, being about as threatening as a 400-pound elderly person in the Walking Dead series. Example, skeletons on the second stage just walk back and forth. No projectiles. While the ghosts could have been entertaining, they kind of just sit there after becoming solid, unable to attack you because they must realize that they're in a shovelware game and lost the will to live. Again. The sound is also dreary and uninspired, and loops typically last about 30-34 seconds at most before repeating. Even the sound effects are dull. No barking dogs or ghost sounds, not even the drunken guy on the ground tossing expletives at you. Just boring, dull, white as wallpaper platforming. The game just screams cheap cash-in, and after a few minutes looking around on the net, I found out it's exactly that. The original came out on the PC in 1991, under the name Lagath Les Adventures de Moktor, Volume 1, Zaubida. It's a French game, I'm not even going to try that. Sorry, France. They essentially changed around a few sprites and the backgrounds and re-released it nearly a decade later under the name of a company mascot. You know, by cutting down the game significantly and rearranging the sprites to make new stages, and making it considerably worse. The game is just a massive waste of time and space. A quick, uninspired cash grab targeting grandmas everywhere to pick up this shitstorm by accident for their kids' birthdays, or their grandkids' birthdays. I have been No Talent Red Mage, and this has been Discount Felix the Cat. I'll see you next time.